From Southern California, this is The Circle of Insight, a show about everything in psychology. Hear the latest in news and views on psychology. Our motto is simple: wherever there is psychology involved, we are there. And now, here's your host of The Circle of Insight, Carlos Vasquez.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We have a great show. We have part 2 of The Psychology of Magic as we talk with Paul ROMHANY about the psychology of magic and understanding human behavior from a different perspective. Thank you very much, Paul, for joining us.
Great to be back.
Paul ROMHANY is from New Zealand. He's been performing magic for over 40 years. He is also the editor of Vanish Magazine, the largest online magic magazine in the world. He has performed for royal family of Monaco and celebrities such as Nicolas Cage. He was also awarded just recently the Robert Houdin Award. Robert Houdin is known to be the founding father of magic to some. Well, we thank you so much, Paul. Today we're going to be talking a little bit more about the psychology of magic. We're going to dig a little deeper into the brain of the audience, maybe even to the brain of the magician.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? I know a lot of times people out there, we've talked about in the past show, that people have that inner child. They want to see the magic like Santa Claus. You said they want to believe in Santa Claus. Does the inner desire of wishing magic to be real influence the audience at all?
It's a tough question. In some way, it depends on the performer too. I don't know if the audience, I don't think the audience expects it to be real. It's like going to see a movie, for example. You go to a movie and you're just, if it's a good movie, you're drawn into it and you take in, you don't expect it to be real. You know it's not real. So same with magic. You know, magic isn't real, but if the performer is good, they can take you to a different place, a place where you forget about everything that's going on. So in that respect, I think people, the good thing about it is that I guess you want it to be real in the respect that you want it, you want to be drawn into it if they're a good performer, rather than most people know it's not real. However, on another level, I can perform a card trick. This has happened. There's people who want to believe, and this gets to another, which is a completely different type of magic, I guess, if you call it magic, the sort of psychic person. People want to believe. There are those people that want to believe in psychics, for example. As a magician, my training is I'm trained to know the techniques of psychics, so I can give you a reading about yourself and so on.
Oh, really?
Well, it's like palm reading and so on. It's all based on psychology, actually. Barnum's statements and these sort of things. So as a magician, you become very skeptical. Now, people want to believe that there are those people that want to believe that it's real. If I'm doing a card trick, somebody says you have a gift, you have a power. I gave up trying to say, no, I don't, I'm not psychic, I don't have these abilities, because I realize that there are those people that do want to believe that it's real on some level. And it's interesting, even my mother-in-law, for example, when she was watching Chris Angel and said, look, it's real. I'm going, no, it's not. You can't argue with some people, because on some level, they do want to believe, some people do want to believe it's real, you know. So I don't go into any sort of performance trying to make my audience believe that I have any special gift. At the end of the day, I just want my audience to have a good time and go away with a good feeling, rather than them thinking, oh, that guy has this. If the gift that I have is the gift that, if it is a gift, I'm not sure if I believe in gifts, I think I worked hard for it, is that I can entertain on some level and make people happy and make them experience something wonderful, rather than actually have any magical powers.
So that's intriguing. I'm going to take you back a little bit to the mentalism. It sounds like you were talking about, I know you mentioned the Barnum statement, which is a real general comment, usually to try to derive information from another person.
Yeah.
And we won't explore that very much. But in mentalism, have you ever had people say, oh my God, you have a gift, Paul?
Oh, yeah.
You're psychic yourself?
Absolutely. And it depends how you play it, because there are mentalists that, again, it's like any sort of, it's a performance, but there are mentalists on different levels that are good enough that people want to believe. I just finished filming a wonderful project with a very good friend of mine who's a mentalist, and we produced a little sort of pilot, and we did some sort of experiments, like a little documentary where we brought people in off the streets, and he would do these he would do these experiments, if you like, on them, and he drew them in. So he was so good that they really believed it was real. There's a great thing online, by the way, where they do this. They bring people into a tent off the street, and then they're able to read their minds. And these people are freaking out. I mean, they're going nuts. And then they reveal how it's done, and how they did it for this TV show was they had somebody on Facebook. They got their name, went on Facebook, and found out all about the person, and was cueing the guy in the tent. Like the psychic.
Cueing the guy.
Like saying, okay, now he's got 6 children, and so this person was able to say this. And then what was interesting was the people that they were doing this on, their reaction was very interesting. What was even more interesting was some of them went away, even though they explained how it was done. Some people went away thinking, yeah, but there's something there. There's something there. So I sort of gave up. I gave up arguing with people because I understand that everyone has a different belief, and I respect people's beliefs. Personally, when I perform, I don't come across as what I do is real. As I said, what I try to do myself is simply give people an experience. And leave it at that, and hopefully entertain them as well.
Do you notice any differences among the genders? I mean, do you see men more susceptible or more skeptical than women?
I find women generally are more into it.
The women are?
Yes, very much so.
They want to enjoy the experience more. They want to believe in the magic more.
Yeah, men. Yes, and because men, if say for example, if I'm doing a situation strolling entertainment, which I do quite a lot of, where I'm mixing and mingling with people, men generally you can get this impression they're a little backed off rather than really into it, whereas the women are more into it. And then once I get the women on my side, then the men usually get into it too. It's a little harder to get the men into it than the woman.
Do you think it's because the men are trying to protect themselves? They don't want to be fooled?
Yeah, I think so. I think that partly it too. It's a whole macho thing, and that's pretty much. I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned something, I think, after the last show, you talked a little bit about pickpocketing. I always found that a fascinating one. I've seen others. You had your mentor, I think you said, was a pickpocketer.
Ricky Dunn.
Ricky Dunn. I've seen Bob Arno.
Yes, yeah.
And I can't remember. There's another gentleman, too. I just can't remember from him. I think he was from the East. Oh, I can't remember his name. Anyway, what is the psychology in regards to pickpocketing? Because I know it takes a lot of distraction and misdirection.
That's exactly what it is. It's all about misdirection. So if you touch here, then you're taking here because somebody feels something here, then you've got this area exposed here. And this is now these guys are stage pickpockets. Then you have the street pickpockets. Even somebody like myself who's trained in that can still get pickpocketed. I was
Really?
3 or 4 times now. South America, I was at the Vatican, and the Pope was there, and we're out there looking at the Pope up there, and I happened to look down. I didn't feel anything. I happened to look down. There was a young kid with his hand in my pocket taking my wallet, and I scared the heck out of him. I got him, but I mean, it's all about misdirection because I'm looking up there. I'm concentrating up there. It's easy for someone to take my wallet, Even somebody trained like myself who's aware of this. I remember going through something in South America, I forget where it was now, and walking through a group of kids. And when I went to pay for something, I just knew instantly that my wallet was gone. I just knew it.
And so these weren't magic acts.
They weren't magic acts. No, they were very good acts. They could have been good acts. These was pickpockets on the street, But certainly, I think more than anything, pickpocketing is all about psychology. It's all about misdirection. It's about making somebody want to, drawing their attention here when you're doing something over here. And that's really what magic is about too. A really good magician is able to do this. They're able to distract you or make you look here when something's happening over here. I think it was in World War II, and I can't remember the name. It's a famous story. I have to check it out. The government, I can't remember the full story, but they had a magician. It wasn't World War II. It was anyway. They had a magician do the world's largest magic trick, if you like, to fool the enemy. And they hired a magician. I don't know if they hired him, but they used a magician to create I think it was an island or something, and and it worked.
That's right.
They're making a movie about it. I can't remember the story, but it's the same sort of thing. It's misdirection, So magic can be used in a lot of different ways.
Hi, welcome to Adelante. This is Adelante Recovery, and my name is Yvette Kuglin, and I'm part of the staff.
Adelante Recovery Center has helped people in dual diagnosis for 5 years. We accept most PPO insurances and provide luxury accommodations and 24-hour support. To speak with an admissions counselor, call 1-888-242-4450.
A lot of time we don't even know what's wrong with us, and sometimes we need to get away to figure that out. So if you want to go for a little retreat out in Corona del Mar, which is a confidential location, we're here to help. So we're only a phone call away. Thank you.
There's a couple of stories there where the military have used magicians for different cultures that really have supernatural beliefs, or they strongly believe in the supernatural.
Well, I was in Fiji working, and there's a belief that that somehow that magic is real, and I was treated like magic was real. Even though a great story there was I would pick up a rock, a little stone, and just turn it into a quarter or a dime or whatever, and hand it to a kid. And then I did this a couple of times, just on the street as I was doing my grocery shopping. They'd all come up to me, so I'd pick up a rock and just turn it into Next thing I know, and this is really smart of this kid brings a great big rock, and I thought, wow, that's clever. That kid knows that if I can turn that little rock into a little coin, how much can I make out of this big rock? I thought, well, that kid's smart, this little guy off the streets. So we were in Africa, and we went to a village, and I was to meet the village magician. Now, of course, they believe it, right? So, and he started doing stuff that we've got it on film. My wife had the camera. Absolutely floored me. He did like the famous cups and balls, which is very old, one of the oldest magic tricks. But he did it with he just got mounds of sand, 1, 2, 3 mounds of sand, and would do this with the sand, and it would jump. It was unbelievable. And of course, we were having like a magic off, if you like, with the shaman or of the village and myself,
Like Moses in the book of Exodus.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
But he was coming from the angle of I really am doing magic.
Yep. So I've been in those situations too.
Wow. Did it become a problem after the magic off?
No. The only reason I did it was because we wanted to barter for some product, for some, my wife wanted to buy some things at the market. So I started doing magic, thinking if I do magic, they'll go, oh yeah, we'll give you some money off. But no, they got the local magician out who came.
Now let me ask you this question, and I don't know, this might throw you off a little bit, but do you think the shaman or whatever he was, do you think he really believes he has that power, or do you think it's deliberately trying to deceive those people?
Well, when it comes to, I'd like to ask him that question, but he would never give me the answer. When it comes to, there are a lot of people that obviously, even today, that know what they're doing is a trick. I think on some level they believe it to be real. I think it gets to a point where with them where they've done it so much they start to believe in themselves, and they start to believe it's real. It's a little bit like a psychic, because psychics are like that too. It gets to a point where they take it on board, and it becomes part of them, and they really do. There are those that believe what they do is real, and I think it might be the same with the shamans. The shamans obviously are doing like that thing with the 3 mounds of dirt and a pebble. That's sleight of hand. So he knows that that's not real, because he knows that he's not really doing it, because that is sleight of hand. He has to do some tricks, sleight of hand. It's probably, it depends what he's doing, and I just saw him do tricks more than healing, if you like.
Yeah. We have those individuals, John of God, and other individuals like that. So, over the course of the years, if you've done magic for 40 years, you said, what have you learned the most about human behavior during magic?
Boy, here's the interesting thing, is something I've enabled myself to do, and this is one of the biggest skills as a performer, whether you be a magician, a comedian, any sort of performer, is reading your audience. You have to, the minute I walk on stage, my show is audience participation. So by looking at somebody, very quickly, within seconds. Remember, I'm on stage performing. I look out into the audience, and all I see is the front row, and or the two, because everything else is in lights. You can't see. So I have to know within seconds who I'm going to get out of the audience to make my show work, because I do get people up. So
Really?
you become very good at I'll say reading people, knowing who's going to be a great subject. Sometimes it's not hit or miss anymore. When I started, it was hit and miss, and I think that's one of the biggest skills that takes years and years and years of and hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of performances to get to that point where you know who's going to be good. So you get, yes, I think human behavior, you as a magician, you do get very good at reading people. For example, I could approach a group of people and I know instantly who's going to go, well, magic, or by a lot of body language. There's a lot of telltale signs, especially with body language, the way people react, the way they look at you or don't look at you, all these sort of things. So you know who you're going to perform for, who's it going to work on best. And what's nice, though, is to perform, let's call them skeptics, if you like. They're not really skeptics, that's just, but they back off a bit. Once you start performing and they realize, wait a minute, this is actually quite good, this is okay, then they relax and they get into it, and that's a nice feeling. But human behavior is, as a performer, I think any performer, not just magic, if you've been doing it long enough, you do get to understand your audience and people a lot better. I love people watching. That's one of the things I consider an airport. If I'm flying somewhere around the world, I'll sit in the airport for 11 hours, and people go 11 hours. I'll just sit there and watch because I really love it. I have a thing. I give everybody a story. So I sit there and I make up stories for everybody. I love that. I really do enjoy that. And I think that's partly why you have to, as a performer in general, I think you really have to like your audience, and you have to have a good time, because the audience can pick up a lot of things. The audience can sense if you're having a bad day, if you're not on form. I think a lot of performers don't give the audiences credit, and also audiences are smart. I let the audience fill in a lot of the gaps in my performance. A lot of magicians, for example, a technique, something I've been working on, a lot of magicians, for example, will say, look, I'll do this and your card will come to the top, and it comes to the top. Whereas if I just go like this and do a move and don't say anything, but their card comes to the top, they're like, wow, my card came to the top. I don't have to tell the audience everything that's happening. A lot of magicians do that. So I think audiences are smart. They can go to these complicated movies and figure out these different 3 or 4 plots going on at the same time, so they can certainly follow a magic trick,
Let me ask you one last question. Do you use any of those skills, reading people outside of magic?
Absolutely, I do it every day. When I go to a business meeting, if I meet clients, I have to use all those techniques, even over the phone. I wrote a book called it's all about this. It's called somewhere here. I wrote a book. I've written over, I don't have any books, 20 or 30 books. I wrote a book, How to Tell Anyone's Personality by the Way They Laugh and Speak. And it's all about, and so it's about that, because there's 7 different styles of laughter, and I analyzed I have a gunshot laughter. So there's different styles of laughter, and that tells you a bit about a person's personality, if you like. So you can use these techniques and apply them over the phone. I've done training seminars for people, for companies that do a lot of phone techniques and things. It's fascinating. And it's all about, as I said, it's all magic I think is all psychology. That's why I studied psychology for 2 years at university when I did my music degree.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it really fascinated me.
Well, now you made me apprehensive to laugh. All right.
I'm just writing something. Let me just write something down.
Well, that was really fascinating. It really is amazing how much of an overlap there is between psychology and magic. And by any chance, do you have a trick for us at the end here?
Oh, do you ask again? And I'm not prepared.
Oh!
About this one.
Well, thank you so much, Paul, for joining us today and giving us an inside view of the psychology of magic. We really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for joining us as well. I hope you enjoyed that really fun show on understanding human behavior and why we want to believe in the unbelievable. We thank you, and we'll see you next time.